Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, This Green's Life. My name is Sherry. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. I want to say a big thank you to everyone that has been subscribing to my channel and that has been liking my posts and, making comments on my posts and sharing my posts. I really appreciate it. And as I mentioned, my channel is growing organically, and I hope whatever you're seeing on my channel is, adding some value to your life, making you think differently about some things that you want to do, and pretty much just, you know, hopefully taking a leap towards creating your life of ease. That's what this is all about at the end of the day. You want to create a life that you deserve. So I know you saw the title to my my video and you were like, what is this lady talking about? Like, what is she getting into today? And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna tell you a story. All right, I'm gonna tell you some parts of my life and things that happened in my life that led me to who I am and how I'm living today. So I remember when I was a little girl, my mom always used to say to me, "You always making trouble," and she would say that anytime I would express, you know, like I felt like I wasn't being treated fairly, or something happened, or something that was said that bothered me. And I felt that I was just, it was just unfair. And I felt like, I wanted to speak up on it. But I noticed as a child, you know, I don't think I got a lot of freedom to really express the way I felt because I always was made to feel like I was quote unquote starting trouble, like I wouldn't feel comfortable about something. And as soon as I said, well, I don't like this thing, I don't like the way it's making me feel, I don't like, I just feel like I'm being treated unfairly, it was immediately shut down. And you have to understand, in my family, I was the youngest child, right? So sometimes they feel like, the youngest child is spoiled or whatever. And maybe they are, because by the time your parents get to the youngest child, you know they've already experimented with the older ones, right? The younger ones, they themselves are getting older, the parents, and they may not have the same stamina, the strictness that they had with the older kids. So the younger one tends to get away with some things that maybe the older ones could not. But at the same time, sometimes the youngest child, I don't want to say is ignored, but I don't think as much attention is given to the younger child because they're the youngest. And I feel like the parents and the older kids kind of have more in common, quote unquote, because the older kids are getting older and they're getting to have more responsibilities. And I think because they're older, the parents may feel that they can communicate with them in ways that they can't communicate with the younger kids, right? Because the younger kids are young, they're not experienced enough to really understand life. You know what I'm saying? So oftentimes the youngest children, they don't get heard as much because they kind of get shooed away. But I felt like the relationship that I had in my family was transactional. And when I say that, I mean that you pretty much like had to follow along with whatever the program was. And if you made any kind of statements or had a behavior that showed that you weren't willing to go along with the program, it's like you were punished. And I don't mean necessarily punished in the sense of getting a beating or something like that. I mean like the silent treatment, you know, snide remarks, um, kind of like ostracized, right? So when you grow up like that, it's like you're being conditioned to not be honest about the way you feel because you have to worry, like, if I say this thing, meaning I don't like what you said, I don't like what happened, then you feel like you're going to get something taken away from you. You're going to get punished. So I feel like all my life, I've been grappling with that because every time I've been in a situation where I didn't feel comfortable, where I didn't like something, I always had to stop and think, wait a minute, what am I going to lose if I speak up and say, I don't like this thing? Like, am I going to lose this job? Am I going to lose this opportunity? Am I going to lose this friendship? Am I going to lose this relationship? Like, what am I going to lose? Now, I'm not happy about what's happening. I don't like what was said to me. I feel like I was being disrespected. But if I tell this person how I feel, then what's going to happen? Like, are they going to take this thing away from me? Am I going to miss out on this opportunity? Like, what's going to happen to me? Please forgive me. I'm sweating a little bit. So that's what I was feeling all the time. I felt like I was anxious all the time. Like, because I always had to stop to think, what was I going to lose if I said no? If I said, I don't like that. If I said, I don't like what you said to me. If I said, I don't like the way you're treating me. And that was a conditioning that I got from when I was a child. So, people really don't understand or really consider how your upbringing really plays a role in how you show up in life as an adult. And this has caused me to stay longer in situations. And when I say situations, I mean jobs, relationships. And when I say relationships, I don't only mean romantic relationships because friendships can be just as toxic. I don't know if people really understand that. I think people feel that only romantic relationships can be toxic, but personal relationships could be toxic. Like your friends, even some of your family members. Like, people really don't understand. And the thing is that you give these situations and you give these people certain titles, and you say, okay, because this person is so and so to me, yeah, what they said bothered me, and I don't like how they moved, and I don't like what they did, but this person is my so and so. That person is my so and so. So I'm going to kind of say, I'm going to forgive, and I'm not happy, but because this person is so and so to me, I'm going to brush it under the rug and I'm going to move on. But you really don't move on at the end of the day. You're still upset about it, but you've been conditioned. And I know I was a person that was conditioned to tolerate things that I shouldn't have. So, going back to the title of this particular video, your pullout game. What I had to learn over the years is that I had to trust myself. If I said I don't like something, then I had to trust myself to say, you know what? I don't like this. I've expressed how I felt. I've consulted with myself too and said, this doesn't feel good. I don't like the way that this feels. I'm not happy here. I don't like what's going on. And yeah, I gave this person or this situation the benefit of the doubt, but I'm just not feeling this whole situation. And because of that, thank goodness, I've been able to pull myself out of a lot of things that were going to be detrimental to my life. So that's why I asked that question. How's your pullout game? Your pullout game needs to be strong. And again, the reason why I started off talking about my childhood, because I feel that it definitely plays a role in how we show up in life. And some of us have experienced being in situations where we didn't trust ourselves. We trusted everybody else around us, but we didn't trust ourselves. So even when we knew something wasn't right, even when we knew we didn't feel happy, even when we knew this thing is not working, we talked ourselves out of it. And we stuck around longer than we really should have. So that's why I asked my question. How's your pullout game? Because you have to learn how to walk away from things. hmm And I thank God, I thank the Creator that I finally learned how to trust myself and say, you know what? This thing right here, mm-mm, this ain't good. I don't like the way that person spoke to me. I'm not messing with them no more. I don't like the way this person treats me. I'm not messing with them no more. And you know what? I have this feeling this person is not right. I'm not 100% sure if I'm right or wrong, but I'm going to die on that hill. That's what I had to do. I had to say, you know what? I could be wrong in this situation, but something is telling me that I'm right. And if I'm wrong, I'm just going to have to stand on that because something is saying to me, this is not good. Something is saying to me, this person is no good. Something is saying to me, if I keep messing with this person, and again, it's not only romantic, I'm talking about friendships, I'm talking about family members, whatever. When you start to get a feeling that this thing ain't good, like something's wrong, I want you to learn how to trust yourself. And you might end up being a lonely person. When I say lonely, I don't mean lonely in that regard. I mean by yourself. But I said to myself, listen, I'd rather be wrong and strong. Let me trust myself because you know why I had to learn to do that? Because all the times that I said no, 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 you know, nah, maybe I'm wrong, this person, let me give them a chance. They just kept showing me they behind until I finally had to say, you know what? I'm not messing with you no more. But what happened to me is as I got older, oh, that walking away, that pull out game came with a quickness. I don't play around with people, not at all. So I just came to talk about that today. That was my message for today. To live this life in peace, your pull-out game gonna have to be strong. Because the more you keep giving people chances, the more they just keep telling you, you was right. You're right what you think about me. But you know what you're gonna keep telling yourself? You know what? And let me say this differently. Here we are sitting here making excuses for other people's behavior. Isn't that hilarious? Somebody is mistreating us, somebody is doing something not right, you at a job that you don't like and you see all kind of shady stuff going on, and you know what you're doing? You sitting there trying to rationalize somebody else's behavior. Isn't that hilarious now that you think about it? That we sit there and we rationalize somebody else's bad behavior. Oh no, they probably didn't really mean that. Yes, they did. That's where I had to go in my life to say, you know what? When somebody says something like that, they meant that. You know why? Because we not children. We grown people. And before the words come out of your mouth, they go in your mind first. And you could always say to yourself, nah, I'm not going to say that. I realize that people, they'll try a little something and see how you react. And if they see that they get away with it, they'll go a little bit deeper. And they see they could get away with that, they go a little bit deeper. So, long story short, your pullout game is going to have to be strong if you want to have a life of peace. And you may have to stand on that hill by yourself. But it's better to be on that hill by yourself, alone in peace, and have discernment so you could choose who you want to stand on that hill with you. And don't ever convince yourself that it's all right to stay in places or stay around people or have things around you that don't serve you. And you sitting here making excuses for it. Don't ever do that again. Make your pull out game strong. Know how to walk away from situations. And yet it's going to hurt because oftentimes we want that job. We want that relationship. We want that friendship. We want to have, you know, a good uh situation going on with some family members. We want all of that. But it can't just be you who wants all of those things. Relationships take two people. Be around people who want what's good just as much as you want what's good. Because that's the thing. Oftentimes we're just fighting a losing battle with people who's not interested in anything good going down. They just want to be around you because they feel like it's easy to disrespect you. You gonna put up with it. You become their emotional punching bag because they can't go outside in the world and do all of that to other people. But you decided that you're gonna stick around, so you're gonna be the one that they throw all their garbage on. Don't do it.